Cam Newton issued an apology yesterday after he received heavy criticism for laughing at a question from a female reporter and saying it was, quote, funny to hear her talk about passing routes. The reporter, Panthers writer Jordan Rodrigue, was also criticized when it was revealed that she sent racist tweets in the past, including using the N-word. Yesterday, she tweeted, "I apologize for the offensive tweets from my Twitter account from 4 to 5 years ago. There's no excuse for these tweets and the sentiment behind them. I am deeply sorry and apologize." Shannon, did this change your view of the story?
No, it does not. I believe those are two separate issues. Skip, she said she wants to apologize for her tweets and say she offers no excuse, but posts they were 4 to 5 years ago. So in your apology, you are making an excuse that they were 4 or 5 years ago, but I want you to forgive me.
That's fair.
Skip, I believe because they are two separate issues. I believe Cam said what he said, not knowing what she had done in the past. She did this not knowing she would ever be a reporter in the NFL and be a beat writer. Because why would you, if this is what you wanted to be, you said you've always wanted to be in some type of role in football ever since the Oklahoma-Boise State game. Mm-hmm. You wanted to do that. Why would you have this on your timeline? Because that's the great thing about the internet. It's forever. You're going to work in a male-dominated profession in a hyper-masculine sport when 70% of the people that you're probably going to interview are African-American, black. Now, what she just did was make her job a lot more difficult than it already was.
Yep.
It's going to be hard-pressed for a black football player to not look at her sideways because you said this. You said this not knowing. So as we said, we think that people will say, well, Cam said what he said, that's what's in his heart. What do you think they're saying about her and what she tweeted? Mm-hmm. And two things can be true. Skip, you hear a lot of people say is that when you're young, especially now, things that you put on your Twitter account, things that you put on Facebook could come back to haunt you because your employer might go through those things. But what we're starting to see, if the employer wants to hire you, he won't comb through your timeline or look at any of your mentions or your Facebook posts. But if they don't want to hire you or they want to get rid of you, all that comes into play. Because you see what Cam said, it cost him sponsors. What she said, she's still gainfully employed. You see what they did there, Skip?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, Cam was wrong for what he said. She was wrong for what she tweeted. The only thing that I hate is that she put it with a caveat. I don't want to make any excuses for what I did, but it was 4 or 5 years ago. Well, if you're not making an excuse, time is unimportant.
Yep.
You said it. You tweeted it. So when you did, if it was 10 years ago, if it was 10 minutes ago, time should have no importance or no place in your apology. If you're sincerely apologizing, you don't even mention the time. I apologize for my insensitive remarks. Mm-hmm. That is not a true reflection or indication who I am as a person.
Yep.
So I apologize to those offended, and I know many were. But don't say 4 or 5 years ago I'm offering an apology for something I did in the past, because you did it.
You did it. So I'm sure that many Cam fans yesterday used this information to, so to speak, kill the messenger. Mm-hmm. And it gets into that area that we see in domestic violence, and this is very different, but this victim shaming sort of motif. And just so we're clear on this, we both agree this is, and I'm sure, Joy, I think you're with us on this, these two things are mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
What Cam said and what she tweeted.
Of course, no one believes that Cam knew this before he said that.
Right. And again, she didn't initiate the insult. He did it. He started it gratuitously. He just sort of threw it out in a media session.
That's correct.
And she was the quote-unquote victim of that. And she was victimized, and she stood up for herself and went to him as he came out of the locker room later one-on-one, and she said she did not get any apology from him. So that's where we were until this came out. So just to be clear about this, at age around, she's 25 now, so maybe around age 20, she tweeted about how entertained she was by her father's racist jokes on a long car ride. And that would indicate that she was sort of raised racist. Is that fair to say? Would that indicate that?
Well, clearly her parents, her dad felt comfortable talking like that in front of her,
Yeah.
and she felt very comfortable tweeting. And but she didn't get into specifics of what he said, but clearly they're both comfortable using that kind of talk around each other.
Okay, and then at age 21-ish, she retweeted an N-word quote. Fair enough?
Yes.
Okay, so that's what we know. And it's funny because she said that Cam indicated he didn't even know who she was, didn't know her name. And now a whole lot of Cam fans know her name, and a lot of NFL fans know her name. So it's almost a be careful what you wish for, because all of a sudden you're in the eye of the storm because of this, and she may regret some of that. But I still stand by what I've said about Cam, and I'm with you. This will not do her any good in that locker room.
No.
It's going to be difficult for her going forward. And obviously, some of those teammates will rush to the defense of their quarterback.
Absolutely.
And so she might have a hard time. She might get shut off by some, right?
Yeah. All the quotes that she get will have to be quotes while they're talking to someone else.
Yeah.
Because for me, I'm just speaking for me, I'm going to be looking at you side eye.
You would be.
I'm going to look at you side eye.
I know you, and you would be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because, okay, you felt comfortable enough to tweet this. I mean, normally when people say things like that, and we've all been around people that have said things, and that you would never, ever let somebody else know that came from, let alone my dad. I'm not going to say my dad. Oh, yeah, guess what, man? My dad, man, he be telling me racist joke, man. I'd be laughing. You wouldn't dare say that. So clearly.
You wouldn't dare say it to your friends, let alone post it.
Right, right. There are certain things you keep in-house. But for her dad to say that, clearly he was comfortable saying that. This is not the first time. Normally on car rides, you talk about things that you've talked about. Hey, you remember that time you were 13? You remember that time when we were at this place? You're reliving all those moments. She felt very comfortable tweeting that out. This is something that she had heard. Skip, I'm looking at her side eye. It's going to become very difficult for her to do her job because you're doing a job that's primarily male dominated. 70% of the players that play in this league are black. A lot of the players that you would have to interview are black. Now they're looking at you after you. Blacks look at people of the opposite race that say that word. They never look at you the same. You can apologize if you had 1,000 tongues. You couldn't apologize enough. That word, when it comes from the opposite race, Skip, it pierces a black person. And I'm going to look at you differently. Although you didn't address it to me, I'm black. So in that actuality, you did address me. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard.
How hard, Joy? What do you think? Gut feeling?
Oh, I mean, everything you just said is 100% correct. Once you know that that's something that somebody says, and even if they say it in anger, or if they say it flippantly, or if they say it how you put it with the A at the end instead of the hard ER, it doesn't matter. If you're a white person that feels comfortable saying that, you say other things also.
Yeah.
And that's just a safe assumption if you feel that comfortable putting it out there. I think the reason she put the 4 to 5 years in the statement is because she wanted to imply that she has evolved past that. But if we're going to pick apart Cam's apology, we have to pick apart her apology.
Yep.
I mean, like I always say, it never surprises me when someone turns out to be racist. That's not a big reveal that there are racist people in this country to me. It's disappointing, but the two are separate issues for me. She didn't set him up. She didn't do anything to prompt Cam to say what he said, and he's responsible for that mess. And now she's responsible for this mess. But that's her reputation now.
I just don't like timelines. Skip, when you give me an apology, just say I apologize.
No, there's no excuse. This is your apology.
I apologize for a tweet 4 to 5 years ago. Okay.
Well, the reason she put that in there was to imply that she's not that person anymore. It's like we always say, if you're the same person you were 10 years ago, you've wasted that time.
Yes.
But again, we agree. Once you use that word, that's just a word that you use.
Okay, so bigger picture, going forward, how does Cam come out of all this in your eyes?
I think
How
Cam
does his image come out of this?
I think Cam will be fine. I mean, it's going to take some time. I mean, just with anything, when you say something, you do something. people will look at you differently. Now, some people that were not on Cam bandwagon or like Cam will never get on this train. Some that was in Cam's corner to begin with, they won't flinch. Some that were on the fence, like, okay, the guy made a mistake. He said what he said. We're going to come over. There are other guys that, nah, he shouldn't have said that. They're off here. So you can't please everybody, nor should you attempt to, because here's the thing, what I tell a lot of people, Skip. The moment you start trying to please everybody, you upset the most important person. That's yourself. So don't try to please everybody. You can't, nor should you attempt to. Cam will be just fine. He'll apologize. Just go play football and let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah, he'll be fine. The unfortunate thing is it sort of muddies the water for any lessons that anyone could learn. Because
Right.
if you were on Cam's side to begin with, this came up like you said, and then
See,
you're just gonna be
I
like,
told you, I
see?
knew she had a motive.
Yeah.
Because now everybody's going to think she tried to set Cam up. Because she got like 20,000, 28,000 tweets. Somebody did a lot of digging to find this. Because it wasn't like she posted it, she retweeted it. Do you know how hard that is to go through 20,000 tweets? Retweets and try to find something?
Oh.
Dig
We'll
hard,
all
you'll
move
find
on
it.
by next week. Have the Patriots fixed their defense? We'll discuss that with Ray Lewis next.